Hi everyone, this is Samit from TalksonGround. How are you? Hope everything's fine with you. Everything is not fine with a lot of global leaders around the world. Just a month ago, Donald Trump took office in the US, and he's taken some pivotal decisions that have shaken the very foundations of America and now is starting to shake the foundations of the global politics. And yes, he has taken these decisions one after the other just within a month of his taking office. He was sworn in on January 20th. Today is February 12th. And within 22 days, he has made some announcements. He's taken some decisions that are really, really shaking the foundations of everything around him. Today, we are going to talk about not something internal to America, but something external. Recently, Donald Trump made a proposal about none other than Gaza. And now Gaza is a hotspot in the world for many years, many decades actually. And for him to make that proposal was really out of the blue. It was not expected. And it has shaken a lot of people around the world. Most of the countries in the Arab world have condemned it. Now, before we go into what the proposal, the contours of the proposal are, let us talk about what this Gaza Strip is all about. For one, it's a small strip of land, very small. It's much smaller than New Delhi, for instance, and 2 million people stay in it. And it has been at war or embroiled in a war for the last 18 months. But this is not the first time it has been embroiled in a war. It has been a center of conflict, war, and deep political struggles. Its history is filled with battles and battles and battles. It had had many occupants: Egypt, then followed by Israel, and then followed by Hamas now. Now, Donald Trump has shared this brand new vision, a bold idea of occupying this land on behalf of the Americans and then rebuilding it. We don't know what led him to say this, but I'm not sure that this will work out the way he thinks. And now he's walking back on some of these things that he's said. Now, before we go there, let us talk about what Gaza is, for which we have to go back to the year 1947, because it was then the United Nations proposed splitting the British Palestine of that time into two states, one for Jews and one for Arabs. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan, but the Arabs, they rejected it. They found this as a foreign imposed unfair decision imposed onto them, onto their land. Well, a year later, Israel got its own independence from the British, and after this, a war broke out between Israel and, on the other hand, the Arab nations. This included Egypt and Jordan. By the end of this war, Israel had almost all the land which was designated for the Jewish state under its control. Well, what about Gaza? It came under Egyptian rule. So from then on, it was under the Egyptian rule. When it was under the Egypt rule, it was not integrated into Gaza, as in it didn't integrate this into its own country. It kept it as a special administrative zone. Now, this is how it became home to tens of thousands of Palestinian refugees. And it was this decision which created the problem decades later. 2 decades later, 1967, another war broke out. This is called the Six Day War. Now, basically, this was a preemptive strike by Israel against Egypt, Syria, Jordan. And by this time, tensions have risen between Israel and its neighboring countries because they had formed a military alliance. Now, and they had also pledged to destroy Israel and to capture West Bank, East Jerusalem, Sinai Peninsula, and the Gaza. It was the first time Israel was going to govern this strip. It went ahead. After winning this war, it captured Gaza and it built Jewish settlements. It established a military presence and tightly controlled movement in and out. All this was not taken well by the people living there. A Palestinian resistance movement started popping out, which grew stronger, leading to an uprising called against this Israeli control called the First Intifada. There were questions and demands asking for Palestinian independence. And at this time, another intifada broke out, which was between 2000 and 2005. The noise grew louder, and now this time there was a lot more international support for this Israel giving control of Gaza to the uh, Gazans, so to say. And under pressure, Israel reduced its footprint. Now, in 2005, a very unexpected decision was made by the Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, who said that we are going to withdraw from Gaza and basically give up control of this territory to the Gazans. And they removed all the Israeli settlements and all the military presence and gave it to Palestinian Authority. And for the first time, Palestinians had control of Gaza. So this was a strategic move by Israel to buy peace by giving a piece of land, but it didn't work because within a little while, the control of this Gaza Strip came under the more hardline Hamas rather than Fatah, who was supposed to uh, be the control authority because there was fighting happening between Fatah and Hamas. And Fatah was the more moderate factions within the Palestinians. Now, because of this, the decision kind of backfired. And by year 2006, the Palestinian elections, when they were held, Hamas won it. And guess what? Hamas does not see Israel as a legitimate state, which means it will always be fighting against the Israelis to finish them off. They won the elections and the tension started. So from 2007, has been under the has been controlling Gaza by force, and it has been continuously fighting Fatah forces and pushing them out. And this has been caught in a continuous conflict. Now, what has happened is Israel puts a strict blockade, which means that Israel controls what will come into Gaza by land, by sea, by air, and Hamas keeps firing rockets and missiles into Israeli cities, which we have all seen on television, haven't we? And it targets civilians and military areas both. Every few years, violence tends to break out on some or the other reason. Major conflicts have happened in the last 17, 18 years. Major ones have been in 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021. And the latest one started on October 7, 2023, when Hamas launched a major attack on Israel, which a lot of you might have seen. Now, this has been the deadliest fight between Israel and Hamas, and it has already lasted 15 months. But thankfully, there is some sort of a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, though Israeli forces are still continuing to kind of occupy and clean out Gaza for any Hamas militants. Now the point is that 1 month back, when Donald Trump came into power, he has now suddenly come up with a new idea. Now let's talk about the proposal. Now Donald Trump says that the moment the war ends, he wants the Palestinians because this area, this strip is completely like a rubble right now. It has been bombed for 15 months in a small area. So there is no sewage, there's hardly anything to eat, there's no water. So this is a real humanitarian crisis. Now, once the Palestinians move out, America is going to come in and develop this into like a resort city. And at some point, they can come back. Now, remember, this is what he said to start with. Later on, he has backtracked a little bit, and he's saying that look, I am not going to spend US money here. Other countries will, and I'm not going to station US troops. And White House has been kind of at pains to explain that look, I am only trying to give a proposal. Do you have a better proposal? Why don't you come out with those ideas? One cannot ignore the fact and ask the question as to why did Donald Trump say something like this? Or why would he want to do this at all? Because Gaza has been a problem, and it has been a decades old problem, and this proposal doesn't seem to add up much. But anyhow, this is what I think. What does he see as a solution for the Gaza problem? After all, in 1947, UN had said that these two should be two different states. Now, in a way, Gaza is already a state, even though it has been fighting with Israel. So one has to ask what can come out of this, and how will you move 2 million refugees into different states, build up this area, and then ask them to come back? So, and who knows how long that'll take? That could take decades, if not centuries. So it's a very interesting proposal, but one that has been denounced and criticized and rejected by all and sundry in Arab League. Gazans have rejected it, Saudi has rejected it, now German Chancellor has rejected it, Turkish President has rejected it. So we will see how this plays out. Let me know what you think of his idea, and what do you think uh, a better proposal can be. So let's have that interaction and we'll see how it goes. Thank you very much.